I wanted to present a brief summary of the table of progression for A&S. One of the things is this is a guideline. This is not a set thing in stone. So there's always going to be exceptions. There's things that you're going to want to take into consideration. um, One, it could be, resources available to the player, would be one thing to think about. Or maybe some, and it's not to take away the awards. So if somebody was to create a craft for the kingdom, or like a kingdom heirloom, and the monarch want to recognize them for that, and uh, then they can definitely award a person a level for, or recognize them within that level of acknowledgement. And so this is a guideline for people so that they can set some goals, like with their regents, or as they start looking through, is like, okay, where do I want to start with my crafts? Where do I want to go next? What do I want to develop? And so this is a learning progression that people can set goals and kind of have clear expectations. And it's also helped with consistency between parks. And so that way one park's not just giving out awards for simple little projects that have no merit, versus somebody who might have super high expectations for a level 2 or 3. Just, you know as an example. But this is just to help with some of the consistency. So looking at level 1 and 2, and this is also based on Bloom's taxonomy. It's a learning progression, and so I've taken this and I've standardized the A&S projects a little bit more. So 1 and 2 obviously is the beginner stages, and this is where somebody's just starting to work on crafts. And so this might be a basic tabard, or your first Omni sword, and all it has to be is just legal. This is just, they just present this, and this is what they are working with. And it can also be like, if you have a crafter that's been crafting for a lot of years, and then they might demonstrate, is like, here, this is where I'm at. I'm highly skilled. This is where I'm at currently. And so then at this point, this is when the regent can help identify. It's like, okay, let's try something new, and then later on we can add to that master craft. And so 1 and 2 is the beginner stages. 3 and 4, this is where they start to practice new skills, and they're going to start merging into intermediate skills. So if they've been doing pottery most of their life, maybe they want to try something different, like painting. And they've not really explored painting a whole lot, or leather work, and so they might practice out some tooling. There's also some exceptions. Maybe they go to a class and they learn how to make a shield. So they're practicing, they're learning something new. Obviously, ideally, like 3 and 4, you're going to show that progression of your first project and your fourth, but there's going to be some leeway a little bit. If somebody was to go to a class, it's like, how many shields do you need? Or practicality, of resources, spending a bunch of money on 6 different shields. It doesn't make much sense. And so ideally 3 and 4, this is where you're starting to explore new skills. You're learning something new, or you're adding on to new skills that you started in 1 and 2. So you're exploring, you're starting to investigate something new. 5 and 6, this is where you're taking some of those skills and you're starting to create some more intermediate projects. And this is where you're going to start adding personalized touches to it. And so if let's say you're following a pattern, you're crocheting a dragon, and you're following the pattern, you might start adding some personalized touches to it. This is where you're going to start recognizing what is your artistic style. What is your signature. um, you're going to investigate, what would happen if I used margarine instead of butter and cooking. And you're going to start exploring some uh, different approaches and start looking into that a little bit more. And so this is 5 and 6 are more exploratory in terms of adding personalized touches and asking the questions, what if? 7 and 8, this is where you're going to start demonstrating multiple skills. And so